Well, welcome everybody to our 24th annual induction into the Surfing Walk of Fame. We have over 150 stones along the sidewalk here that are there, and we're growing. I'd like to invite up Father Christian Mondor and to start our meeting off so that we're proper. Thank you, Father.
Good and gracious God, Lord of the waves, big kahuna, and creator of all, the most merciful. We ask your blessing upon the new members of the Huntington Beach Surf City, USA 2017 Walk of Fame, whose names will be recorded here on the sidewalk of Main Street and Pacific Coast Highway. Surfing pioneer Jeff Hackman, surfing champion Barton Lynch, local hero Timmy Reyes, surf culture Jim Hanks, woman of the year Pam Burridge, and members of the honor roll Huntington Beach High School 50th anniversary coaches Bill Garland, Bruce Gabrielson, Rob Hill, Chuck Allen, and Andy Verdone. May their contributions to the world of surfing keep us always stoked, and may their memory be a lasting inspiration to all who love this sport. Bless them and keep them safe on land, in the water, and sometimes when they fly off the lip, in the air. Bless and protect all of us who love sand and sea and surf, and all who work and play in this magical world environment. And Lord, we add this always. Bless the great whites and keep them always in their space and not in ours. Hear us as we pray that ancient Hawaiian prayer. Kumai, kumai, kanalanui mai, kahihi mai. Arise, arise, you great surfs from Kahiki. Hu, kai ko'o aloha. Well up, long, raging surf. And grant us, surfers everywhere, the joy of an endless summer. And this we pray in the many names by which you are known and loved. Amen.
Thank you, Father Chris. We'd like to invite the mayor to come up, Barbara Douglas, and give us a welcome. Then we'll introduce other officials here, and some will have a comment to make.
Yeah, hi everybody. Do you have any idea how cool it is to be the mayor of Surf City? Well, it's very cool. The coolest factor has a lot to do with our surfing community, who are a big part of our culture and have put us on the world stage. On June 20th, we celebrated International Surfing Day in a spectacular fashion by creating the largest recorded Circle of Honor, and in doing so, we earned a spot in the Guinness Book of World Records for the largest paddle out. Kudos to all the organizers, to Diana Dim, our fearless leader, all of us who showed support, especially to the 511 surfers who gave us the record. Yes, woo! You were one of them too, Diana. It was noted by our residents, it was something extraordinary, an epic achievement. The event showed how well the city could put on a big affair, and we hoped it would sway officials planning the 2028 Summer Olympics to consider Surf City as the surfing village venue. I have it on good authority, also known as Don McAllister, that more surf events are planned to keep Surf City top of the mind as the surfing venue for the Olympics. So stay tuned. The Walk of Fame at Jax was founded in 1983, more than 24 years ago. Today, more than 2,000 ballots sent out worldwide to surfing notables to cast their vote in 5 categories. Honor roll recipients are selected by the board of directors and honor those who have contributed to the sport, but who do not always fit right into those 5 categories. This award event is held annually in conjunction with our U.S. Open Surfing Championship and competition. And on Tuesday, out of abundance of caution, our beach was cleared of people as reports nearby of lightning striking and gave rise to some safety concerns. I'd like to really acknowledge our Marine Chief, Safety Chief Mike Baumgartner, who did an outstanding job getting the beach cleared of 40,000 people in less than 20 minutes. Did you know that the World Surfing League is headquartered here? Well, they have scheduled surf contests all over the world, including China, who's putting together their first surfing team. And the Chinese team will be coached by none other than our local surfing legend, surf champion, Peter Townend. All right. So in closing, I'd just like to acknowledge that the surfing culture is a very important part of our city. Events such as the paddle out and the awards ceremony raise public awareness and the respect of the sport as they enhance the importance and the romance of surfing. We fought hard for the right to be called Surf City. No one deserves it more than Huntington Beach with its dedicated surfers and remarkable residents. My congratulations to all the 2017 inductees. Thank you very much. Let's have a wonderful Surf Up Day.
Thank you, Mayor. We also have with us in City Council this morning Lynn Sameta, Eric Peterson, Pat Brendan, and Mike Posey. We also have the honor of having Dana Rohrbacher with us here this morning. Dana, you want to come up and welcome us?
For my first few years in Congress, I was the best surfer in Congress, and unfortunately, another one got elected after that. So, surfing has been such an important part of my life. And let me just note, I had to stop surfing about 2.5 years ago, and I want to warn you about this to the younger surfers. You wear out your cartilage in your arms. But I want you to know this, that this arm was 8 months ago, I had the operation, total replacement. This 8 weeks ago, total replacement. And I will tell you, 2 months from now, I'm back in the water. So, I have some special certificates for those who are being honored today, and I'm going to leave them up here with you rather than trying to get up again. But I have a special presentation to Peter and Don. These folks have done such a great job for us in unifying this whole thing, making it a lot of fun and making it also formal in the sense that we're recognizing something really important in our lives. So we want to thank you, and I've got this special award. This is, when I hold on to these, Don and Peter, I have here a medallion called, and this, I'm now enlisting both of you into the Freedom Surf Team. There you go.
Thank you.
God, there's nothing that exemplifies freedom more than the spirit we have here in this community about surfing. God bless us all. Let's go surfing again. There you go.
Senator Jan Wynn has here this morning, our staff.
My name's Phil Smith, and I'm here on behalf of State Senator Janet Wynn, and I too have congratulations and best wishes and marvelous turnout, great town, everything that everybody else has said, especially Father Mondor, who, along with me, are the two most overdressed people here. Congratulations to you all. The Senator has provided lovely certificates of recognition for each of you, and I add my congratulations as well. Thank you very much.
We've got a lot of city staff here. Julie Toledo, head of PIO, very important person, makes a lot of our advertising very important in getting out into the world, and we appreciate the city's support and all the support the mayor and council has given us the last couple of years and really getting on the world market. Is Kelly Miller here this morning? Kelly, are you here? There he is back there. He's hiding back there. He's head of the Visitors Bureau, and he helps advertise to the world Surf City, USA, Huntington Beach. Thank you, Kelly. So anyway, I'd like to turn it over to PT, Peter Townend, now to get into the meat of our program. Thank you.
Welcome, everybody. Now we get to what I think is the most important part. We're going to honor some people that have meant much to our culture and on this beautiful day here in Surf City. But like I do every year, if you look in the back of your program, you'll see we have an in memoriam page, and it hasn't been a good year for our world, our culture. And we lost some of the inductees this year, and every one of those inductees that you see there that were left us this year always sent their ballots in every year. I mean, it's pretty amazing. I got a ballot from John Severson 1 week before with his votes for this year. And it told me how important what we're doing today is, in that someone like John Severson knew he was in his last days, and he still filled out his ballot and sent it in because he wanted someone else to be recognized. And I think just that alone needs a round of applause. Anyway, let's get to today. We're going to induct these new people. We start always with the honor roll. And as was mentioned by Mayor Barbara, it's the only category where we, the committee, actually decide to recognize people that might be overlooked. And this year is kind of a special group in that it's the 50th anniversary of Huntington Beach having a high school surf team. I think that's pretty incredible. And in that period of time, there's only been 5 coaches. And we're going to recognize those guys today. But to start it off, we're going to have Principal Danny Morris come up and say a couple of words. Did Danny turn up? Here he comes up the back there. I thought he'd be sitting up front next to Verdone.
How's everyone doing out there? We got any Oilers in the house here? Yep.
New alumni.
Always, absolutely. So this is a very special day, not only for Huntington Beach High School, but the city. As you know, Huntington Beach High School has been a mainstay here on Main Street since 1907. And 50 years, almost half of our history, we've had a surf team. And so if you can imagine, in the 60s and 70s, one of our honorees this evening, any of them, coming in to the principal's office saying, hey, I got this idea. I want to start a surf class. I want to start a surf team. We are lucky to have people that were at Huntington Beach that had an open mind that surfing is a sport. Surfing is something that's special to a lot of people. And what our teachers saw was that this was the hook for kids. Huntington Beach High School's kids that surf on our team and in our classes come to school every day. You can't say that for a lot of surf teams that are out there. Huntington Beach High School is dedicated to making sure that these kids understand how valuable their education is. And so with that, I do want to recognize Andy Verdone, who I've been lucky enough to work with for the last 3 years. You know, I'm lucky to be the principal of Huntington. I grew up on the Goat Hill up here, and I've always been around surfing, whether it's Newport, Huntington, etc. But when I came to Huntington, you know, there was this aura about Huntington Beach High School surf team. And when I first met Andy Verdone, I was just blown away at the humility, blown away at what he and our 4 other coaches have built over time. And this is a part of our community. Our community knows Huntington Beach High School surf team. They know the kids are on that surf team. The last 2 years, our top 10 Oilers of the year, we've had surfers in that top 10. So breaking down those walls of, what is a sport and what isn't a sport goes directly back to our honorees today for making surfing what it is, not only in the city, in the nation, but allowing our kids to have that hook in high school and stay there, be successful.
So I would like to invite up one at a time the 5 coaches that had existed. Just to add to that, this is a newspaper article from 50 years ago. And this was the first guy that got it going as a club sport at the school, Bill Garland. And so the first coach is Bill Garland. That's him there with John Davis. And it tells you about how it came about. After Mr. Garland got it going, Bruce convinced that it be recognized as a letter sport. And from that day on, at the end of the year, you actually took surfing as a sport, and at the end of the year, just like other sports, you got one of those letters. And Bruce Gabrielson was responsible for that. And then there was Chuck Allen. And Chuck was there for a long, long time. His widow, Christine, and the family are here today. And they're going to make their way up. And finally, Coach Verdone. Coach Verdone's been there now 30 years as the coach of the Huntington Beach High School surf team and still standing. And the coach is going to say a few words on behalf of the group.
On behalf of the coaches, I'll speak. We have a big program, and I'll just say a couple nice things about each one, and then we'll get on to our other inductees. And actually, I'd like to acknowledge them just now. First off, Timmy Reyes killed us when he was at Edison High. His coach, Zorn Forgerini, will someday be in the Walk of Fame. Jim Jenks, I looked for my corduroy shorts. I couldn't find them, but if you can get me another pair, I lived in OP. I loved to go to the OP Pro. It made surfing what it is today. Jeff Hackman, I had a poster of you on my bedroom wall with the surf muscle. You're pulling this barrel at sunset. I thought, there's no way I'll ever ride a wave that big. And you know what? I never did. Okay. Pam Burridge, not just beautiful, but a great, phenomenal athlete, proving that women can be this superior to men on waves. And a big fan, Pam, and I'm so proud that you're being inducted today. And finally, a guy I met years ago. We took some kids to the Hot Buttered, and you were always around, always mentoring. And I hope you take this as a compliment. You were, to me, the first intellectual world champion. You thought things out. I mean, I know you want to be the crazy big. You are. I know. I mean, you would think things out. And I studied your way, and I tell kids, get down early, study the waves, check the judges' heats, do your homework, and it pays off. And you can't just show up and win. You got to do your work. And Barton Lynch, I'm a big fan. I'm so proud of you. Okay. So on to the surf team. So try to understand when I'm speaking about the coaches for 50 years. In a little world that we're living in here in Huntington, it's a big world of surfing, and we're a small world. Where I am today is a result of the very beginning in the 5 coaches. It culminated to where it is today. So each and every one expanded the sport. And currently we take the kids all over the world, and everywhere we go, we're known because of the footsteps that they walked on first. Okay? I'll start with Bill Garland, who worked at Huntington High as a driver's ed teacher and a health teacher. He was one of the most popular teachers because he teaches health. He teaches kids about, all the cool stuff that they're just coming into as a teenager. Bob Dreyfus down there in the stands knows he took over the science department of health, and he knows Bob got Teacher of the Year every year. Bill was Teacher of the Year. Bill and this well-known hot ripper named John Davis started this club. And trust me, I used to coach the ball sports. I used to coach football and baseball and do the track and field. And I was a traditional athlete that surfed. PT was a great surfer who wanted to be a traditional athlete. We roomed together for years, and he always used to argue that athletes are athletes. And I said, John Elway just won the Super Bowl. That's the coolest thing. But Slater just won. He goes, Verdone, it's the same thing. They're at the pinnacle, at the top of every sport they do. And I learned a lot from PT, and I learned a lot from the people before me. And Bill Garland taught me. Bill broke his leg. He's up north at Lake Topaz with his family, recuperating. He sent his grandson, now little thing about grandson, went to Edison, played basketball, Hall of Fame there, all-time leading scorer, the only jersey ever retired at Edison High, Dylan Garrity. So Bill was two things when I first met him. First day I walked into HB High in '83, sitting in the lunchroom, and we used to hang out in the lunchroom. And we got into it for something. He goes, Andy, what do you want me to do? I'm only trained to do two things. I'm a teacher and I'm a Marine. I can teach you how to do it right, or I can kill you. And that's Bill Garland. Okay. So Bill got the ball rolling, started a club. And the other coaches, they were losing athletes. Like Robert August was a traditional athlete that was sneaking away surfing. So they didn't like that. And then this big, strong wrestling Hall of Famer who also surfed, was a great surfer and a great board shaper and a great mentor to kids, started the first varsity surf team, who's given athletic awards. The H block on our jerseys that you could walk around campus, be the big man on campus. Bruce Gabrielson, right here. And if you look at Bruce, the snake, not just a great leader of young people, but a mentor to anyone. If you have time, he can teach you. If you research him, you can find volumes on the man, and I've done so recently because I knew I'd have to speak today, and I wanted to do him justice. And I'm quite sure that we'd say talk story. If Bruce got going, he could write several books. So Bruce Gabrielson, thank you. Thank you for your contributions. Some of the surfers like Fignetti right there, and I know Mike Downing and Nishi and some of the Jay Bolt, they all speak volumes about you, Coach. So thank you so much. Moving on to the next coach. It brings me a little sadness because Rob Hill isn't with us any longer. He passed away a couple years ago, and he was also a mentor to me. He was our woodshop teacher at Huntington High, and I used to go in, and there was a poster on the wall that said Hot Buttered Pro Junior, and another contest that he took this young man, Bud Lamas, over to, and a guy named Joey Baran. Rob Hill, a high school teacher. Could you imagine? Okay, Rob, you're going to take Bud Lamas and Joey Baran to Australia. You're invited to a prestigious surf event, that the only international kids that were invited. Joey being the pro, Bud being the am, and it was such an honor. And Rob was so chill. Rob Hill, chill. He would relax the kids. I learned that from Rob. You can't be overamped. You have to be chilled out. You have to be relaxed before your heat. You can't hit a curveball when you're gripping the baseball bat with all the blood coming out of your knuckles. You got to relax a little. You got to do your homework like Barton taught us, and relax a little and go out there and be smart. So Rob Hill was one of the founding fathers also of the NSSA, him and Chuck, and I'll get to Chuck later, but Rob was one of the founding fathers, and he's also in the Walk of Fame earlier. So Rob Hill, let's give him a round of applause. Bud Lamas is representing Rob. moving on to the next gentleman who truly, truly was my mentor in coaching. I was interviewed, he was on the panel. There was also Naya Post and Mark Austin were on the panel with Dave Van Horbeck, our then athletic director, and the late Darryl Strawberry. Stillwagon, Darryl Strawberry. That's good, Andy. But Rob chose me to take over, and I was very afraid. I was following a legend who had 5 national titles, and he did things first class. He ran a bank. He coached winners, and I was taking over, and I'm going, wow, where do you go from here? You know? He goes, Verdone, you got to go higher and better. So he invited me to his first banquet. And I'll never forget, it was at the old Limboard Racket Club, and he's got all these rows of bikes and these big money scholarships, and he's handing out college scholarships to surfers. And I've been to a million banquets, and I've never seen that. So we continue that today, and for years we've handed out these big scholarships at our annual banquet, and he would give out these bikes that he went and got sponsorship for. And I thought, this is the first time I've ever seen this. Chuck Allen did that. Chuck always wanted to go bigger, go better, do it one more than the next guy or next gal. Didn't matter. And Chuck was there to win. And I knew it because, and I always tell a great coach by how much people talk smack on you. When you go into a strange city and they go, oh, I'm glad Chuck Allen's gone. That guy was I go, yeah, he beat you, didn't he? Yeah. And when they talk smack on you, you know you got something going on, Timmy. Okay. So, Timmy, you're a legend. I'm never going to ride the waves you ride. Never. Ghost Tree, really? Really? So, to wrap up, Chuck, you can never wrap it up. I will leave you with this. He probably, like Bruce is in the Hall of Fame of wrestling. Chuck Allen is in the Hall of Fame of surfing and snowboarding. He gave the world, because he's the founding father of the NSSA, and he's the founding father of the United States Snowboarding Organization. He gave the world Tom Curran to Shaun White. And that's the legendary Chuck Allen. Represented by his wife and family, his kids, and we had a little hug and we shed a tear earlier. Congratulations. And then moving on to me. Best thing I ever did was become the surf coach because it gave me my beautiful wife, Shannon, right there, Verdone, and my son, Andrew Verdone, and my daughter, Annabella Marie Verdone. My mom's there too. Hi, Audrey. Mommy. So that's what it gave me. Without the surf team, I never would have met what I'm really all about, and that's family. And here in surfing, we are family. And I'm a little long-winded here, but in the words of Bill Morehouse, party check, it's on today. Let's have fun. Roy Miller's here, legendary athletic director of Huntington. We got Ian Dominelli, Hall of Fame out of in college football, and of course Fabian Luna I see. And any other teachers in the audience, really acknowledge you. Support your local surf shop. See you later. Thank you.
Yeah, a lot of history there. I remember when I first came to Huntington a long, long time ago, 1977, and I was befriended by Chuck Allen and Rob Hill for the NSSA, and all of a sudden, next thing I was helping out with the Huntington High School, and that ended up I then coached the feeder program for the Dwyer Middle School for 10 years when my boys were in school. So another round of applause for the Huntington High School surf team, 50 years. Now we get to the inductees, and we're going to start off with the local hero. And I have a great local hero story. When Jimmy Reyes was trying to qualify for the World Championship Tour, he had to go to Newcastle. Kind of nobody knew who he was. And he turned up in Newcastle, And Newcastle, just like the US Open of surfing, is one of the hardest contests in the world to compete in. There's no question. Barton and Pat O'Connell will attest to that. They went to Newcastle a few times, and even this old bloke, I won it in 1973, and it ain't easy. And Timmy Reyes was in a heat early on with Luke Egan. Now, Luke Egan, the Egans are like royalty in Newcastle. And you know, everyone thought that Luke was already like on tour and he was going to eat Timmy Reyes up. No chance. And Timmy was so determined that he wanted to get on the world tour that he actually paddled over Luke right over the top of him at Main Beach and took the wave off him. And I'm going, this might not be good back on the beach in Newcastle. Anyway, they didn't call interference on Timmy. Timmy got through the heat and Luke got knocked out. And when I saw that day, I knew Timmy Reyes was going to make the world tour. Because you don't go halfway around the world to Australia, to Newcastle, with that kind of determination unless you're going to make the world tour. And he did it that day. And it's my great honor to bring Timmy Reyes up here, local hero, Huntington Beach.
Wow, 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 wow. Oh, never thought this day would ever happen or be even close to such a cool moment. And I'm glad to share it with family and friends. And wow, what a cool honor. And thank you, Walk of Fame, for such a great thing. And I don't know really how to begin because there's just too much to thank for this moment, and it's just a huge honor. Like PT said, I just got home, and I'm a little injured at the moment, but we're good. We're good to go. But again, I just want to thank my mom and my dad. Wow, for being there every moment. In my young adulthood, from all the way to a little kid, and if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be able to pedal my bike down the windy beach to go surf Huntington every single day with, bloody hands and all the bumps and bruises along the way. This wind is strong here. When you ride a bicycle a long ways, you really know it. And I learned everything out front at the pier here, and I met a lot of awesome people. And this is where I learned everything. And without my parents taking me to all the events and doing the things that they did, there's no repaying back to what they did for me. It's really cool. Again, this is not, I didn't write anything down because I really didn't know quite to say, because check out all those names on the street there on both sides. It's just really cool to be part of this program. I can't wait to just spit on my own name over there. But there's so many good stories that has happened along the way of my career, and a lot of it has to do with sponsors. It really is. And Garth Tarlow at O'Neill believed in me, and I've been at O'Neill now for 20 years. And I don't know what he saw, but I guess it's okay. So again, surfing is just fun, and that's kind of how the way it started for me. And if you're not having fun and you're really not, it's really hard to be good at something. I love surfing, and it's brought me all my friends. And my dad's a really good surfer. My sister's a good surfer. My mom surfs. I'm trying to get Megan out there a little more. But being a part of this again is just so awesome. And there's so many good surfers in the world, and I'm just one of them to be on here today, and I'm very happy. And I'm so, look at these guys that are next to my name over here. I mean, I looked up to everyone here, and Verd, I remember the first time I actually was in high school, and I drove down to the pier because the pier, it blocks the wind a lot here. We get a lot of wind in the winter. And river jetties is where I pretty much grew up surfing, and it just gets windy over there early mornings. And Zoran Forgerini, my high school coach, he's like, yeah, you can go over there. I'll let you go surf the pier. I pulled up in the parking lot, and I was getting ready, and Verd just comes right up to me, slams on his brake on his Ford Explorer. I never forget about it. What are you doing here? He thought I was go over there start some trouble with the boys, but being in such a small city, all of us were friends, and we all surfed with each other. And I think he realized that pretty quickly once I didn't want to start any trouble with the Huntington boys. Again, I'm from Edison, like this guy. He's got his jersey hanging up inside there. And I'm really proud of it. It's just down the street from my house. And I'm proud to be a Huntington local and been able to travel the world and seen beautiful places, and having the chance to still keep doing it is awesome. Again, this is a very, very awesome thing, and I'm very happy to be a part of it. And thank you, Walk of Fame. Thank you.
Yeah, Timmy's as locals as it comes in Huntington Beach, without question. Well, the next gentleman I'm going to introduce, our world owes a lot to. If you actually look in the program, you'll see there's a pair of white corduroys walk shorts. I dare say nearly every one of us here had a pair of those white corduroy walk shorts at one point in time. And I remember when I got here the first time in '72, OP was just a surfboard company. Actually, Cheer Critchlow was on the US team, and he was riding a Ocean Pacific surfboard at the World Contest in San Diego in '72. And somewhere around that time, Jim, I think, convinced Don Hanson to let him start the OP line of clothing. And this city here, Huntington Beach, Surf City, owes an incredible amount to the next man I'm bringing up, Jim Jenks. When he founded OP, he had the foresight to understand that marketing was huge. And immediately he was doing contests and stuff, but even before that, this is Chuck Allen and Jim Jenks right here of the NSSA. And Ian Cairns. And the OP Pro hadn't even happened yet. And then because of that relationship, Ian convinced Jim to sign off on the OP Pro. And the first ever big world rank contest in California was the OP Pro in '82, right here in Huntington Beach. And it changed surfing because it was the first time there was stadium atmosphere. And we had the priority buoy. Who remembers the buoy? They didn't used to call it out. You had to paddle around it, right, Pam? Martin, were you around for the buoy races, right? And you had to paddle around it to get the, and there were some classic races to the buoy. The guys would climb over each other to get around the buoy first, and the girls too. And we had instant scoring. Never had been done before. Meg Bernardo's out there somewhere. She was working for Ian Cairns and I, and she used to run from the third story of the scaffolding down the stairs, and she'd post the scores, and then the commentators would call them out so the audience knew. There was no computer. It was manual Meg up and down the stairs. And of course, Jim's foresight also, if you look in the program, he believed in sponsorship of athletes. And at the time, probably the most sponsored surfer in the world was a great surfer, Larry Bertleman, that Jim had signed a big contract to, that they wrote up in the magazines. And of course, the OP Pro lasted through its whole era to across the street today we have the US Open of Surfing. But if it wasn't for the OP Pro, we wouldn't have the US Open of Surfing. And it's a great honor for me to bring up Mr. Jim Jenks. It all happened because of him.
People that I really want to thank, people that helped OP get started, and tell you just a little bit about my background in it. I went to work for Don Hansen, selling boards during the day, rubbing rails at night, and was in surfing a lot, all the time. And I was lucky enough to be associated with LJ, Mike Doyle, Rusty, Cheer Critchlow, people like that were in and out of the shop all the time, surfing with them, watching them in contests. And I noticed that there was one fundamental thing missing. There was no real pair of trunks that was made for a guy that surfed. I don't know if you guys remember Rusty when he used to surf early on. He wore these things that were so tight and so short. They looked almost obscene, you know. And I mean, LJ got trunks that fit him, but other guys, and Doyle was always trying something different. Had to be longer, had to be shorter, had to be wider, had to be this. And so I was lucky enough that we had the opportunity to sell our boards in a lot of surf shops, and I was in a lot of different surf shops, and there was a need for a really good pair of trunks, a really good pair, one that fit, one that was a little higher in the waist, one that wouldn't come up in your crotch when you jumped up on the board, things that fit, things that dried quick, and that was where OP started. I talked Don Hansen into letting me start it there, and I worked in the back of the shop at night, and we sewed and we made trunks and we put them on surfers, and everybody went, and it went from there. So the big thing is that I had no money. I had an idea, so I had to figure out how can I make these trunks, and I wanted to make some walk shorts. I wanted to make some cord walk shorts. How could I do this? Well, there's a family I'm sure you're all aware of, the Hoffman family, and they made fabrics, and they have sold to everybody in here, I know. But Walter took me under his arm, said, look, kid, I'll sponsor you with this, I'll help you out, do this, and I'm going to give you credit. And the only reason I'm giving you credit is because you surf. God, that is incredible. And so I started making trunks and started doing it. Well, like everybody else, we need customers. We had to have customers. There's only one place to be when you're starting out, Jack's Surf Shop. The only place. So I'm up here on my hands and knees going, Bobby, Ron, please put my stuff in, please, like that. And they put it in, and it sold. And we built a relationship together that whenever I was in trouble and I needed money to cover some checks or something like that, I could call them up, and they'd drive down in a van, and we'd load it up with goods, and they'd come back up here, and they'd save my life. So I don't think that there ever would have been an OP if it hadn't have been for Jack's and the Hoffman family that backed us. They were really great. When our brand literally exploded. We were so lucky. I mean, it exploded. Our business was doubling every single year, and things were going big, fast. And because we were like the only guys really out there that was making this stuff. And all of a sudden there were surf movies and surf music, and everything was happening, and this movement was moving across the country. And we were lucky we were on that wave. We were just on that wave, and it took us, and it went big. And it was through the help of a lot of good people that came in to make things really work for us. And, you know, I'd like to say that guys like Gary Michaels, I don't know of a better national salesman in the world. The best, you know. Production, Rex King does everything, you know. Sales, Garrett was there. We had really good backroom people. We had people that believed in the brand, that really wanted to go forward with it and make it go, and it was super. And then we also had Balmages, he's our attorney. He kept me out of trouble. He was always a guy to keep me out of trouble. But I really want to thank the Surfing Walk of Fame Association for doing this. I'm so honored, and I'm just don't know what to say anymore. I mean, just honored, and thank you very much. Thank you very much for the progress.
Yeah, Jim. Unreal, Mike.
Wow. Up next for me is pretty special. I didn't even know this guy when I saw this photo of a guy doing the bottom turn at Sunset Beach. And I went, one day I might get to Hawaii and be able to try to do that at Sunset Beach. And then this movie came out with a whole bunch of video grabs. Well, they weren't videos in those days, they were surf movies. We didn't have any videos. And it was for Golden Breed, and we thought that company was the coolest. And their sponsored athlete was Jeff Hackman. And so in 1972, at that same World Contest, Jeff Hackman is down there on the Hawaiian team. And I was going to Hawaii for the first time. And of course, he had won the Duke contest in 1965 as a teenager at Sunset. And I went, it might be a good idea to follow this guy around. I might learn something in the lineup if I follow him around at Sunset. So I got to know a guy, Mike Eaton, who was making some boards for all of us. And I got one of Mike's boards. And next thing I know, I'm in the finals of the Duke contest with Jeff Hackman in 1972 on a board that I'd got because of him. And then Eaton was making us a few more. Every time he wanted to get rid of one, I went and got the other one. And of course, we ended up together in the final in the legendary Thanksgiving Day at Waimea Bay in 30-foot plus, which bonded every one of us for life. I mean, Fred Hemming sent us out when there were closeout sets coming across the bay at 30 foot. I remember us all looking at each other going, we actually weren't hassling for the waves. We were actually going, do you want this one? And that day, Reno Abalira, who we inducted here 2 years ago, won. And Hackman was second. Clyde Aikau was third, and I got fourth. And Hackers and I, of course, had a lot of other adventures. One of those being Quicksilver. We went to Australia, he won bells, and we had a bit of a drunken and disorderly night with Alan Green at the Torquay pub. And the next thing you knew, Jeff Hackman and Bob McKnight started Quicksilver, which is in our hometown here in Surf City today. So it's my great honor to bring up a great influence on my life, Jeff Hackman.
Wow, this is such a privilege. I'd like to thank the board of directors and all the officials that has made this possible today. It's a real honor to me. Yeah, Peter and I go back quite a ways, and I just got to say one thing here. Like when Peter was talking about surfboards, I'd ask Peter, I go, hey, Peter, you know this board you had like 2 years ago or something? You kind of remember that board? And Peter whip out this little book, and he had all the measurement. He was the most detailed surfer on surfboards I've ever seen, you know? Anyway, Huntington Beach. Okay, Huntington Beach. I have really a lot of memories of Huntington Beach. One of my first memories is, well, I grew up in Torrance Beach in the South Bay, and that's it. I just got this Haggerty's honorary T-shirt today, this morning, so here we go. Anyway, my father used to bring me down the coast in about 1958, 59, and the thing that stood out the most to me was Tin Can Beach. Like, it was unbelievable. There were so many freaking tin cans on that beach. It was unbelievable. A couple memories in the middle 60s was the Golden Bear, Janis Joplin. That place was fantastic. So much good music went through there. Later on, 1969, I actually lived here for about 3 months in Plastic Fantastic. Bill Feary, like Greg Tucker, the Chapman brothers, Bob and Tom Leonardo, Roy Crump sitting right there, John Boozer, so many characters. I mean, for sure there's a lot of good surfers that have come out of Huntington Beach, but I have to say more than that, the characters. There have been so many freaking characters coming out of this place. It's unbelievable. Kind of when I was about 12 years old, and sort of after I left Torrance Beach and Haggerty's and moved to Hawaii, we were surfing. We had a little gang. We had like this little gang, kind of, not really a gang, but at Baby Queens in Waikiki. And it consisted of David Nuiva, Reno Abalira, Tom Stone, Barry Kanayapuni, myself. And if you would have told me then, if you would have asked me then, who's a pioneer, I would have gone, well, Duka Hanamoku, you know, Greg Knoll, George Downing, Rabbit Cake High, Paul Strow. And I never, ever would have thought of the concept of being a pioneer. Like, I wanted to be a surf champion, not a pioneer, you know? Anyway, here it is 60 years later, and the honor of being inducted along with some of these people I've respected for more than 60 years is phenomenal. I mean, I look at that list of people, the pioneers, and just like I've respected and honored these people for so long, and it just blows my mind that I am now a pioneer, you know? So anyway, maybe it's good to be a pioneer, because a pioneer is sort of timeless, and if you're a champion, that can you can kind of come and go, you know? So it's such an honor, it's a privilege, and I don't even know how to explain how deep this affects me. You know,